Hey, it's Candy. Welcome back to my channel. So I just got home from my first day of my new job and I am tired. My feet hurt. There's a lot of standing and walking around and that's not something I'm used to. Well, so I got a new job in Portland and it's as an office manager, but part of my job is also working the front counter when the other people aren't available and then doing like the reconciliations and stuff. And so today we started training me up front. We'll do the back office stuff eventually, but right now we're training me up front. So my feet hurt. It's just not something I'm used to. I'm sure I'll get used to it. I'm sure it will aid in me being more active, and I'm really looking forward to it. So before we get into what we're going to talk about, because today we're going to do just a little candid candy and talk about my previous job since I just got a new job. But before we get into that, I want to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a learning community for creatives. Thousands of inspiring classes are on the Skillshare website. They are for creative and curious people. They are for lifelong learners, beginners, pros, dabblers, and masters. And there are tons of classes. So Skillshare is also for like real working creatives or real working people. And I used Skillshare to kind of buff up on my interview skills and, you know, with some tips and tricks on how to get a job. So let me tell you about the class that I really enjoyed. So there was two that I thought were really helpful. So the first one is Ace Your Job Interview. Hello.
You've networked. That's great.
Give me a second, guys. Okay. So the first one was Ace Your Job Interview by TJ Walker, public speaking and media training expert. And there were some really good tips on like how to answer questions, how to make small talk, how to ask questions at the end. And then the other one that I really liked was Job Interview Masterclass, Max Your Interviewing Success with Powerful Tips, Power Preparation by Paul Banoob, Leadership Coaching and Productivity Ace. Both of those really helped me kind of get back into the job market because I have been at my job for 16 years and I wasn't sure how to do an interview really. So those two helped me a lot. So I want to, you know, thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. They have video lessons and projects for everyone. Most classes are under 60 minutes and you can do it on your own time. So for under $10 a month, you can get the annual subscription and take any classes you want. And for the first 1,000 of my subscribers that click the link below, you will get a free you will get a free trial of the premium membership. Okay, so thank you Skillshare for sponsoring. Now let's get into the meat of the video. I wrote down notes so I wouldn't forget. So I wanted to talk about my job history and, you know, kind of, you know, fill you guys in on some things. You guys know some stuff. I'm sorry, I'm getting maskne so bad. So I'm trying to cover it with my hair. So of course I started babysitting young. I'm the oldest of 11 grandkids on my mom's side and I was always the one babysitting all the kids. So I started doing that when I was like 10 or 11 and I had summer babysitting jobs and all that kind of stuff. Like I've done that from a very young age. When I was 15, I believe, yeah, 15, I got a job at a ceramic shop. So I've been doing ceramic classes with my grandma, and the lady that owned the ceramic shop that we went to was a relative, and she talked to the lady that owned the other ceramic studio, and so I was a greenware cleaner. So what a greenware cleaner is after you mold a ceramic piece with the slip, you take it out and you clean off all of the edges and you smooth it out and you take off all the seams, and that's what I did. And then they would fire them and then they would become ceramic. So I did that for a while. It was before I got my license. So I was like 15 or 16. And then I got my license and I was going to school. And so I didn't have time because I was the manager of the wrestling team. So I didn't have time to work also. Also when I was about 16, I got my first job at the racetrack. I've done multiple jobs at the racetrack, so that'll come back in later. But at 16, I got a job in the concession stand down in the pit area. That was probably the funnest time. I worked the front counter for a couple years with someone else cooking, and then I moved back to cook, and a couple other people worked the front counter. That was really fun. I got to know the drivers, I got to know the pit crews, and you know, I really enjoyed that. While I was in high school, my senior year, I did a work-study program with the Department of Revenue, and I was an office assistant, me and one other girl. She was a junior, I was a senior. So we worked there after school, and we just did like projects. We basically took our last period of school, so we worked for like 3 hours a day, and we were on a project where they were moving things from paper files into electronic files. So we were getting things ready to scan into the electronic files. So I did that during my senior year of high school, and then in October of 99, yeah, so I graduated in June. In October of 99, I got a job with the Washington State Patrol as an office assistant. I was the Information Technology Division's office assistant, so I just did whatever they needed me to do. Answered phones, you know, took notes, all sorts of things. That job, I wish that I hadn't said, no, I don't want to be full-time. I wish that I had said that I wanted to be full-time instead of going to college, because I would be a lot further in my career. That's probably one of my only like regrets in life, is I wish that I had focused more on my career instead of focusing on college. So I did that for a little over a year. It was the, you know, the Y2K thing. So I worked from 99 until almost 2001. After that, I was still going to college, and my grandpa had quit our family business. My dad and my grandpa ran a 4x4 shop. So we like repaired cars, and our specialty was big trucks and installing, you know, lifts and things like that. And so I worked there with my dad after my grandpa quit. My dad was working as a bus driver at the time, and also working the shop. So when he was on his bus route, I was at the shop by myself, scheduling things, taking care of what I could take care of. And then he would come in and he would work on cars and stuff. We closed that, I don't remember exactly when we closed that, but it was sometime within like a year of when I started helping him out, because he couldn't do it. He was making more money being a bus driver, and we just couldn't run the business ourselves. So after that, I was still going to college. I did 3.5 years of college, okay? So I started getting more responsibility at the Speedway. They asked me to do like the weekly newsletter, and they asked me to do the press. So I would write a story after each race and send it to newspapers, and I would do like a press release earlier in the week to kind of tell you what was coming up. And I ended up being the webmaster for them. And then on race nights, I would either be scoring, which is, at that time we didn't have transponders. So every time a car would cross the finish line, you'd have to write the number of the car down. And it's very fast paced, and it was not hard, but like it took a lot. And so I did that, or I was announcing if the announcer was gone, because I had done some radio broadcasting in college. And so that was, you know, something they allowed me to do. I worked at the Speedway from 97 to 2006. It was mostly a weekend job, but it kept me busy enough during the week that I was able to go to college. And then I met Roger, and I moved down to Longview, and I was still doing the Speedway stuff, but I needed more of a full-time job. So I went into a temp agency and they were sending me on jobs every once in a while. Not super consistent. I do have a story though. So there was this one time where I got a temp job and my vehicle, at that time I had a Jeep Cherokee, a white Jeep Cherokee, and I have a white Jeep Cherokee now, but it was being fixed. There was something wrong with it. It was being fixed. And so I didn't have a vehicle. And Roger had two vehicles. One was a manual Toyota 4Runner, and the other one was a manual Kia something. I've only drove stick like twice in my entire life. My dad tried to teach me how to drive stick shift because my very first car was a stick shift. My parents bought me like a $200 car and my dad fixed it up. And yeah, he tried to teach me how to drive it and he was laughing at me so hard because I kept like stalling and like making the car jerk back and forth that he couldn't teach me how to drive because he was laughing so hard. So I gave up. So the night before I'm supposed to go to this temp job, Roger's like, well, I'm gonna have to teach you how to drive this stick shift because that's the only other car we have. And so he took me out to like this far off, you know, place where it was like an industrial area, but they didn't have any businesses back there yet. And so he taught me how to drive a stick shift and I did okay. I did stall the car twice getting to work. And I stalled it coming home. And there was this guy in a convertible behind me when I was trying to come home from work. And he was getting so irritated at me because I kept like jerking the car and like I just couldn't get it. And he finally like swerved past me and flipped me off and I was like, I'm never driving again. This is the worst thing ever. Like, it was a whole thing, right? So I did that for a little while, and then the place where I had worked for 16 years asked me to come in for an interview. And I interviewed with the lady, and it turned out that I went to college with her daughter, and that she lived in a town where some of my cousins lived, and she knew some of my cousins. And so she hired me part-time to kind of, they were like super behind on some stuff, and she needed me to kind of like audit the books a little bit to try to figure out what was going on. And so I did that and I was working part-time, and then her daughter was having her first baby. And so she was like, I'm gonna have you work for me while I'm gone. And I was like, okay, cool. So I worked, you know, while her daughter was gone, and then she came back and she was like in and out. Like, she was sick quite a bit, and come to find out that her cancer had came back and she didn't want to tell us. Well, one day she just didn't show up for work, and the boss called me and he's like, hey, can you come in? I can't get a hold of Dolly. Can you like come in and, you know, work? And I was like, yeah, no problem. So I came in and he went over to her house and she's like, I can't do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. Christy knows enough. Just have her do it. And so I was like, huh, okay. So I'm like 23, 24, and they're just like throwing me into this like office manager position, right? And I was like, okay, I can handle it. Well, it turns out that like her cancer was causing her to kind of not do the job, and I found like 3 to 4 months of mail under the desk, and it was a mess. It took me about 2 years to get everything straight, get our accounts back on like good terms with everyone, to get our taxes back up, and that it was a lot. Like, it was a lot. And then my boss passed away in 2010, and that was really hard because he had become like a second dad to me, and I was so thankful that he had gave me a shot because I was so young and no experience, but he believed in me, and I learned that job, like on the job learned that job. And so when he passed away, I took over as kind of like a little more responsibility, because his son, who took over as the boss, had never had any interest in working in the office. Not at all. Oh, Harriet, stop. And you done? She wants in. So I kind of had to step up and teach him how to be a boss. And then my boss's wife, who, you know, had never been into the business, I'd only met her like once or twice in that, like, what was that, like 6-year period. She was now an owner of a business, and so I had to teach her how to be an owner. And, you know, it was a lot of responsibility, and for the past 10 years, that's what I've been doing. And when I was getting ready to leave, my boss was realizing just how much I do and how much I do for him, and how much I take off his plate, because now he's had to take some of that stuff on. And so when I was getting ready to leave, I wrote out this like meticulously detailed kind of dossier of what I do every day, every week, every month, of things that have to be done, ways to do them, you know, things like that. And I checked on him. My last day was last Friday, and I went in on Wednesday and picked up my paycheck, because I'm going to be doing both jobs for a little bit, because the new girl doesn't start until like, she doesn't start for 2 more weeks, and he has to like kind of take over. And I went in Monday to take my drug test and do some paperwork at my new job, and I decided not to go into my old job. So I went in Wednesday to pick up my paycheck that I had went in on Saturday and written, and I talked to him, and he seems to be doing, you know, fairly well. He's stepping up. He's a little, you know, stressed. Sis, stop it. She's ridiculous. I just wanted to shoot a video. But he's handling it fairly well. So I'm going to be going in probably on the weekends and just making sure that everything's still running smoothly, doing the accounting part of it. But he's going to have to do the day-to-day stuff and then teach the new girl how to do the day-to-day stuff. I'm hoping that I can hook up with her on a weekend and, you know, try to show her some stuff. But, you know, I can't guarantee that. So my new job is, you know, an office manager again for a tire shop. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about the opportunity. My commute is about 45 minutes to an hour depending on traffic. So probably within the next year or so, I'll be moving down south towards Portland. It's further away from my family, and Logan's not happy about it. He's like, why'd you do that? And I was like, well, buddy, this gets me to where I want to be. So, you know, it's gonna be about an hour and a half up to my mom's house, which she just moved. Wednesday I went and helped her kind of unpack some more boxes, and you know, everyone's in a transition period. It seems like my brother-in-law just got a new job, which he loves, and you know, I got a new job, and my dad just retired, my mom just moved to a new house, and so it's a lot for our family. The last couple months have been really super busy for all of us. So that's kind of my job history. I spent 16.5 years at my last job, and you know, I'm gonna miss it, but this new opportunity is like really cool. I'm really excited. I'm stoked. The lady that I'm replacing, they're actually replacing her with 2 people. The owner's daughter's coming in and me, and she's gonna take 2 to 3 months to kind of show me the ropes and make sure that I know what I'm doing, and I'm really excited. It's so much more fast-paced. At my old job, I was getting so bored some days because I'm so efficient at it, and I've been doing it for so long that everything is just like, I just do it automatic, like, and this is going to be a challenge, and I'm so ready for it. I'm so happy. So anyway, that was it. That's just, you know, a little Candid Candy, some history on my work history and what's kind of been going on in my life. I know that I've sort of mentioned it, and you know, not too much, but you know, I'm excited. It's a great opportunity and I'm just so happy. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you guys want me to kind of touch on any of these things deeper, you know, just send me a message. I'm not going to be as available as I was because at my old job I could check my emails and I could check my messages during the day. This job's not going to allow that. It's just too busy. It's too much. It's too fast paced. So I'll only have a few hours in the evenings to kind of catch up with you guys. So I will do my best, but be patient with me. The best ways to get a hold of me are Twitter or Instagram DMs, even Facebook DMs I can answer. But I don't always get the notification if you're not friends with me. So yeah, and I'll be able to check emails every once in a while, but Twitter or Instagram DMs is the best way to ask me a question or get in touch with me if you know, want to talk about something. So again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you guys so much. I'm so glad you guys are here for this new chapter in my life. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.